Shir is dedicated to Nishmas Rachalei Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi. In the past few years, we've been discussing the Malacha of Kosev, and what I wanted to do today is just wrap up that topic with a brief look at the Malacha of Mochek. The Mishnah in Maseches Shabbos and Daf Ayin Gimel tells us that in addition to the Malacha of Kosev, you have an Isser, a separate Malacha called the Malacha of Mochek, and it's defined by the Mishnah as HaMochek al menas lichtov shtei osios. That the prohibition of erasing on Shabbos is not in a vacuum, but the Mishnah writes that you're chayiv only if you do so al menas lichtov shtei osios. You have to erase a portion of paper that is sufficient to go ahead and thereafter write two letters. That's the Malacha of Mochek, and we noted in the early Shiurim, in the introductory Shiurim to Malacha Shabbos, that you find a number of different Malachos that are known as the al menas Malachos. You have Mochek, which is al menas lichtov. You have Korea, tearing, which is only chayiv if it's al menas lit for. And then the Mishnah writes as a malacha of soter, destroying a binyan, destroying a structure, which the Gemara elaborates is also going to be only soter al menas livnos. And perhaps one other is what Tos discusses in Maseches Shabbos, Tavayin Gimel Amud Aleph, the malach of matir, untying, whether that has to be done specifically al menas likshor for the sake of tying or not. So there you have this malacha that is defined in the Mishnah as hamochek al menas lichtov. In the Bir Halacha in Siman Shin Mem, he asks, or he raises a very, very crucial prima gadim. He writes as follows: V'hoel de'arinan b'dinei mechika. While we're talking here in Siman Shin Mem about the laws of mochek, erasing, ra'isi lahatik mashmitzadet ha-prima gadim bazeh. He says, I want to quote the words of the prima gadim. De'im be'amechika levad hayashum tikun, כגון שהכוסף שם איזה עניין שהוא חייב לחברו, או חברו לו, וכי הגבנה, ונצטרך עתה למחקו, חייב משום המחיקה לבד, אף על פי שלא היה על מנס לכתוב. So the Prima Gadim wanted to know the following question. The Mishnah tells us that the Isser of Mochek is specifically al menas lichtov, in order to achieve the agenda of ksiva, basically hachanas haniyar, to prepare the paper for the sake of writing. Says the Prima Gadim, let's say I have an erasure that I'm engaging in, which is a very positive purpose. I have a good reason for this erasure, but it is not al menas lichtov. For example, let's say someone owed me a debt, or I owed someone else a debt, and we wrote a contract, and now the debt has been paid off, so I want to erase the contract. I want to destroy the writing of the contract. And I do so. There's certainly a productive purpose in doing so. I don't want to have to pay twice. But it is certainly not al menas lichtov. If you have an erasure that is a ma'aseh tikun, it's a productive activity, but it is not specifically al menas lichtov. Is that considered to be the isser dorais, the malacha of mochek? The Prima Gadim, that's his issue. And this certainly is going to be relevant for Meleches Korea, Meleches Soter, all the, what we'll call the al menas malachos. Let's say you do them for a purpose, for a given purpose, but it is not al menas lichtov. Is that going to be an isser doraisa? What exactly is this issue? So the issue is very, very clear. Is that what is the common denominator between all these al menas malachos? Mochek, Korea, Soter. Destroying a building, destroying a beged, tearing a beged, erasing writing. What's the common denominator? These are all malachos that by their very nature are inherently meleches kilkul. They have a destructive quality to them. And we know the Gemara Maseches Shabbos Daf Kuvav tells us that kol hamekalkalin pturin. When it comes to Meleches Shabbos, Meleches machsheves asra Torah, we are prohibited in malachos as done by the artisans Betzalel in the Mishkan. They did so in a productive tikkun fashion. These malachos, and in general, if you do malacha destructively, you're going to be pater. That's the din of kol hamekalkalin pturin. So when it comes to malachos such as these, which are by their very nature destructive, so the halacha is, the Mishnah says, they must be specifically done al menas lichtov, al menas litfor, al menas livnos. The question is, what's the reason for that al menas? That could be understood in one of two ways. One possibility, as we just alluded to, is the reason that you need the al menas lichtov. It's not really that you need al menas lichtov specifically. What you need is some clear form of tikkun, because the very nature of mochek and korea and soter is destructive. We know destructive malachos are pater, and therefore we need to come up with a way to transform this act of destruction into a tikkun. And the example that's given in the Mishnah is Amanas Lichtov, or Amanas Litfor. Those are just examples. But if I can construct another situation, another case, where a Meleches Kilkul is going to be converted into a Tikkun, even if there is no Almanas Litfor specifically, or Almanas Lichtov specifically, but another scenario, then you'll also be Chayav. These are just examples of ways of converting Meleches Kilkul into a Meleches Tikkun. For example, let's say my wife is an artist. She paints beautiful, beautiful paintings. And one of the children comes along and spills some kind of ink all over the painting, seemingly ruining it. So what are we going to do? So let's say we go to a place that can go ahead and fix it up somehow. What do? They scrape off that